Hello, thank you for joining me. My name's Liv and welcome to Liv&Yoga. This week I've got a meditation especially for beginners. So if you've never ever meditated before, or if you've tried but you felt like you didn't really know what you were doing, then this one's for you. So we'll start by finding a comfortable position, and you absolutely do not need to be sat cross-legged on the floor like I am. You can be sat on a chair or even lying down. What we really want to find is a comfortable position where we can focus on the meditation rather than aches and pains in the body. So if sitting cross-legged on the floor is not comfortable for you, then please don't feel like you have to, and know that you can still meditate. So while you're getting yourself comfy, feel free to grab pillows, blankets, whatever you need. Okay, and while you're getting yourself set up, I just wanted to introduce a couple of mindset things that will help create a solid foundation for not only a meditation practice, but our yoga practice in general, and also life in general, really. And the first thing I want to introduce is the principle of ahimsa. So in the traditional roots of yoga, there's these 10 principles which they say that we should live by to create a successful yoga practice. And one of these things is ahimsa, which translates to non-violence. So it can mean non-violent actions towards other people, but it also means non-violent actions towards ourselves and non-violent thoughts towards ourselves and to others as well. So how this relates to a meditation practice. Meditation is hard, okay? So we often kind of see these images of people sitting here peacefully, and we assume that there's not really much going on, when in fact there is an awful lot going on, but it's all just happening up here. So it requires a lot of focus, a lot of concentration, and it can also bring up a lot of things as well. Kind of thoughts come out of nowhere, memories that you thought you have forgotten or haven't thought about for years kind of pop up. Your mind wants to think. It's always thought. So doing this meditation practice where you're trying to not stop the thoughts, but almost find the space in between the thoughts is hard. So adopting this principle of ahimsa, where we're essentially just trying to be kind to ourselves. If you find that you keep getting distracted, that the mind keeps wandering off, that there is nothing wrong with that. That is what is going to happen. So being kind to yourself, accepting that fact, and trying to, just do your best, Every time we practice, we're going to have a different experience. Some days meditation will feel easier. Some days it's going to feel kind of impossible. You're going to feel really distracted. Your mind is going to be really busy. And just know that that's okay. So the second thing that I wanted to introduce is the concept of santosha. So this also comes from those 10 principles. And it's kind of what I just talked about. Santosha means acceptance or contentment. So being aware that every time we practice, we're going to have a different experience, and then that is okay. A meditation practice is not going to be this upward trajectory of getting better and better each time, whatever being kind of better at meditation is. It's going to be a lot more like this. It will get easier, but there'll also be days when you feel like, I just can't do it. I'm distracted, I can't focus, and that is okay. Accepting that each practice is an opportunity to look at it with fresh eyes, with a fresh mind. See each practice as a fresh experience. So if we can keep those two things in mind as we move through not just this practice today, but any meditation or physical yoga practice that you're doing, or even just sprinkled through your life, we'll have a much better time, an easier time for ourselves as well. So I'll stop talking about stuff like that and we'll just get on with the meditation. So finding that link through the spine if you're sitting down. You're welcome to close the eyes, or if closing the eyes doesn't work for you, see if you can just soften the gaze so we're not focusing on anything externally, but really trying to draw the attention inwards. So maybe just dropping the eyes down towards the ground, letting them become soft. And we'll start here by focusing on the sounds you can hear around you. So there might be sounds from outside, birds tweeting, children playing, aeroplanes going overhead. There might be sounds from within the room, sounds from this video, my voice. You might have a clock ticking. There might be other people in the house. And what we're looking to do here is just letting the mind drift from one sound to the next. Trying your best not to judge the sound that you're hearing. We don't have to label it as good or as bad. Try not to label it as annoying or pleasant. But just accepting the sound, noticing the sound for what it is. It's just a noise. And maybe challenge yourself, what is the furthest sound that you can hear? See if you can focus on that one. And if the sound stops, just letting yourself find another sound to focus on. Good. And then we're going to bring it a little bit closer. So finding a sound that is maybe in the same room as you. So it could be a sound that you can hear from this video, maybe a clock, maybe the hum of electrics. And seeing if you can just focus on one sound. Picking that one sound. If you notice that the mind starts to drift off, noticing that, accepting that, knowing that that is exactly what is going to happen time and time again. And then bringing your focus back to the sound that you chose. Good. And then we're going to move on and see if you can focus on the sound of your breathing. And your breath might be really, really quiet. So if you really can't hear anything, then feel free to breathe just a little bit heavier so that you're creating a bit of a noise. If you're familiar with Ujjayi breath or ocean breath, maybe starting that just to create that little bit of noise. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. But just trying to make the breath a little bit more audible if you're struggling to hear it. I'll be quiet for a second just to let you find that sound. Good. And if your mind's drifted off, again, just notice that. Bring it back. And then we're going to shift our focus away from the sounds that you can hear, but keeping it with the breath. From here, we're going to see if we can notice a sensation you can feel the breath causing in the body. And what I mean by that is maybe some movement you can feel. So it might be the belly moving as you breathe. It might be the chest rising and falling. It might be the ribs expanding and contracting. Just finding a sensation that the breath is causing in the body. And it might even be the feeling of the air passing in and out through the nose or the mouth. Good, and you can see if you can feel any other sensations. Your mind might have been initially drawn to one, but just take a second, see if you can notice any other sensations. And then try coming back to that main sensation you can feel. So whether it's the belly, the chest, the movement through the nostrils or the mouth. And it might not even be something that I've mentioned. Feel free to find your own if there's something more prominent in your body. And then we're going to spend just a couple of minutes here focusing on that single sensation. So this technique is called a single point of focus, and our point of focus is the breath. And if you find that the mind has drifted away, starting to think about other things, again, notice it, bring it back to this single sensation. And start to get a little bit curious about that sensation, maybe noticing how long it lasts. Does it change on the inhale and the exhale? And again, we're really trying not to make any kind of judgment about this sensation, but just noticing things. So trying to keep our mind occupied with this sensation, keep it interested in the sensation. And if the mind has wandered, just bring it back. Really, the practice of meditation isn't, especially when you're starting, isn't the sitting in quietness, in mental quietness. It's the noticing of the thinking and bringing it back to the single point of focus. That is the practice. The mind will drift, you notice it, and you'll bring it back. And it's this noticing that becomes quicker. You'll get better at noticing when the mind has drifted off and bringing it back. So to start with, when you're not being guided, you might only last a couple of seconds before the mind has drifted off, and you might be lost in thought for like 5 minutes, but then you notice and you bring it back. And that is what's going to happen. That is completely normal. But it's those little tiny chunks of time where you're solely focused on that single point, that single sensation, where your mind is clear, and it almost feels like your mind just has the chance to relax for a second. You found that break in between the thoughts. So I'm going to be quiet just for this last minute, and I'll let you have a practice by yourself. Good. So just notice how that was for you. Remembering those principles, being kind to yourself. You know, we're just starting out here. If you found that it was really hard to bring your mind back, or even to notice that you drifted off into thought, you know, this is what we're here to practice. And know that you can come back to this video as many times as you like. And you can also try this just by yourself. Set a timer on your phone, maybe for a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, and just see how you get on. Just remember that it's the noticing that your mind has wandered off and bringing it back. Not judging the fact that the mind has wandered, being kind to yourself and accepting that that is what is going to happen. Even if you've been meditating for like 10 years, your mind still drifts off. So just know that that is what happens. Anyway, I hope that you found this video useful. I'll do some videos in the future where there's more time and I just guide the meditation. But I thought it's important to kind of give this information, especially when you're first starting out, to kind of build a little bit more of a foundation to the practice, so you're a bit more aware of what might happen, what to focus on, and really kind of what to do. So I hope that you have a lovely week and day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.